You ever get that feeling deep down in your bones that something's too good to be true? That maybe fate isn't doing you a favor, it's just setting you up for a knockout punch later? Yeah, that's how this story starts. With me, damn near dying in a burning building, thinking I was the lucky one. Name's Carl. I was 28, firefighter out of Brooklyn. Born into the job, my old man ran the same routes, wore the same boots, taught me how to run toward hell when everyone else was running the other way. Got a chest full of medals, a couple articles in the daily news, and enough smoke in my lungs to qualify as a chimney. But none of that prepared me for what was coming. That night was bad. 4-alarm blaze on Avenue Z, Brighton Beach. Apartment building fully lit, smoke rolling out like it was breathing dragon fire. Me and my crew thought we had everyone out. I mean, we swept the whole damn building twice. But as we were backing off, about to call it, I heard something. Faint, through the crackle. A kid's cry. Now I got sharp ears, ask anyone at the station, so I told the boys to hold up. They said, "Carl, it's coming down. We're done." But something in me wouldn't let go. So I ran in. 3rd floor, back right corner, place was a furnace. Found a woman on the ground, barely conscious. Smoke had her good. She mumbled something through a cough. My son's still in there. Damn near ripped my heart out. I tossed her over my shoulder and kept moving. Found the kid, little guy, maybe 5, hiding under a table, crying for his mama. I wrapped him up in my jacket, burned through the hall like the devil himself was after us. And just as we hit the stairs, boom, floor collapsed behind us. I felt my leg snap, caught a beam to the shoulder, and blacked out halfway down. They pulled us out minutes before the rest of it came down. I was in the hospital for weeks. Shoulder shattered, 3rd-degree burns on my back, leg busted like cheap plywood. They said I was lucky to be alive. I didn't feel lucky. My folks were at my bedside every day, crying like I was 10 years old again. My mom kissed my forehead. My dad just held my hand. That meant more. Then one day, she showed up. The woman from the fire. Her name was Natalia. Russian. Eyes like Siberian ice, but soft when they looked at her son. The kid, Alex, came in with a crayon drawing of me holding him like Superman. Said I was his hero. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt broken. But man, their visit lit something up in me. Something I didn't know I'd been missing. A few days later, Natalia came back, this time alone, with soup and a thank you. Told me how she came here chasing a dream. Met some jerk who bailed when she got pregnant. Said she worked her fingers to the bone as a hairdresser to provide for her son. Then she said, "You saved our lives. It's the least I can do to bring you dinner." I smiled. Made a dumb joke about how hospital food was probably trying to kill me anyway. She laughed. That laugh was the first thing that made me feel alive again. That first dinner at her place, I'll never forget it. Little apartment off Brighton 6th Street. Walk up, 3rd floor, smelled like steamed cabbage and burnt hair dye. Place was small, but spotless. You could tell Natalia was proud of what she had, even if it wasn't much. She wore this cheap little floral dress. Looked like something from a thrift store rack, but she wore it like it was Chanel. Hair still damp from the shower. No makeup, just those sharp cheekbones and tired, honest eyes. Alex ran to the door when I showed up. Gave me a bear hug around the knees like I was Santa Claus. Kid already had me wrapped around his little soot-covered finger. Dinner was soup and black bread. Said it was a Russian recipe, borscht or something like that. Looked like motor oil, but tasted like heaven. She told me she learned it from her grandmother back in a village I couldn't even pronounce. We sat at this wobbly little kitchen table while Alex colored in an old Garfield comic. She talked. I listened. Turns out she moved to New York from Moscow 7 years ago. Came here with dreams, fashion school, better life, the whole immigrant thing. Met some slick-talking American guy who promised her the world, knocked her up, then ghosted her as soon as the pea stick turned positive. She didn't cry telling me this. No drama. No pity party. Just facts. Like someone who'd already done her grieving and moved on. That night, after I helped her wash dishes, she looked at me and said, "You didn't have to save me. Or him." I told her, "That's just what we do." She looked down at the sink, smiled, and said, "No, Carl. That's what heroes do." I made a stupid joke. Something about how I only saved them so I'd get free borscht for life. She laughed. God, that laugh again. Like something alive in a dead world. Before I left, she hugged me. Not long. Not sexual. Just human. Warm. The kind of hug that says thank you for seeing me. Next morning, there was a voicemail on my phone, Alex asking if I could come over again and help fix his toy fire truck. That beat-up little thing would go on to sit on my dresser for years. And so it began. The weekend visits. Me bringing groceries. Fixing pipes. Hanging shelves. Watching cartoons with Alex on Sunday mornings. I started to look forward to those two more than I looked forward to anything else. I wasn't just healing from my injuries. I was healing from the job, from the lonely nights, from all the crap I didn't even know I was carrying. At some point, I started calling her Nat. She called me Firewalker. I said it made me sound like a low-rent superhero. She said I didn't need a cape. I already had the scars. It didn't take long before I had a toothbrush at Natalia's place. Then a drawer. Then a key. I wasn't playing house. I was building one. Alex started calling me Dad by accident. The first time, he said it real casual. Dad, can you reach the cereal? Then he froze, eyes wide, waiting to get in trouble. Natalia looked at me like her heart stopped. I just smiled and said, only if you promise to brush your teeth first, little man. That was it. No ceremony. No big talk. I was in. Now I don't do things halfway. I started picking up Nat and Alex in the truck after my shifts. Took them to Prospect Park on Sundays, Coney Island in the summer. We did family. On a budget, yeah, but it felt real. Alex had night terrors. Fire phobia. Kid would wake up screaming like he was back in that burning apartment. I'd sit with him, hold his hand, talk him through it. Taught him to laugh at the fire. We built a little cardboard fire truck. I bought him a second-hand firefighter costume. Let him sit in my real rig one afternoon. The look on his face? Man, I've seen people pulled from rubble who looked less shocked. Natalia started letting her guard down. She'd fall asleep on my chest, breathing slow, like she hadn't slept right in years. She'd touch the scar on my shoulder and whisper in Russian, soft, sad things I didn't understand. But I didn't need to. One night, after I read Alex's bedtime story, Natalia pulled me aside. She looked tired. But not the usual tired. This was something else. Nervous. Restless. I want to marry you, she said. But I don't believe in forever. I stared at her, caught off guard. Then just believe in tomorrow. We'll take it one day at a time. That was the night we made it official. No ring, no kneeling, just two scarred people holding on tight and saying, let's try. I thought I was living the American dream with a Russian twist. Turns out, I was building a home with gasoline-soaked timber. It started small. Natalia came home later than usual, said she was picking up extra shifts. Her hands were raw from scrubbing hair dye out of drains, her eyes bloodshot, her voice flat like she'd left her soul at the salon. I didn't question it. Not at first. You don't question the woman who once spoon-fed you soup in a hospital bed. But then the stories started getting sloppy. One night she said she worked a double because some stylist called out. But earlier that day, I dropped by the salon to surprise her with lunch. Place was dead quiet. One customer, two girls on staff. Her boss, Carmela, wasn't even there. I asked, is Nat around? The younger girl looked confused. Oh, Natalia? She hasn't worked here in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I felt my pulse throb in my ears. Walked out without saying a word, lunch still in the bag. Drove around for an hour just thinking. When she got home that night, she was in sweatpants and a hoodie, no salon gear, no apron, no smell of hairspray or acetone. Looked more like she'd been out jogging than doing perms. I said nothing. Just watched. She kissed my cheek like usual, but her lips were cold. Sorry I'm late. Carmela made me stay and clean the back room. I nodded. Rough night? She looked away. Like hell. She poured herself a glass of wine and downed it in 2 gulps. Then she went straight to the shower. That night, she didn't touch me. Just rolled over, back to me, and was snoring within minutes. At least, pretending to. My gut, that firefighter instinct that tells you when the floor's about to cave in, started screaming. But here's the thing about being burned. You don't feel it right away. Not until the skin blisters and the pain sets in. I still wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that this woman, the one I'd carried out of a burning building, the one whose kid called me Dad, wouldn't do me like that. But the cracks were showing, and the smoke was rising. It was a Tuesday morning. I was making pancakes for Alex. Kid liked M Mickey Mouse shaped, always wanted extra syrup, said it made them funny. He was sitting at the table, swinging his legs like usual, chattering about school, cartoons, fire trucks, and then he said it. Mom said I shouldn't tell you where she goes at night. I damn near dropped the spatula. I turned slowly, smiled, but it felt like glass in my mouth. Oh yeah? Why's that, buddy? He just shrugged. She said you'd get mad. But it's okay, right? She says she's doing it for us. Doing what, exactly? That night, I laid in bed next to her. She smelled like cheap body spray and nicotine, not hair dye. Her back to me. Just like always now. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling like it had answers. Next day, I told the station I had the flu. Spent the whole afternoon making calls. First to Carmela at the salon. Got her personal number off the business card on Natalia's dresser. Said I was checking in for Natalia's schedule. Her words? Natalia hasn't worked here in over a month. She stopped showing up. Said she got a better offer. You her husband? I hung up without answering. Felt my pulse like a drum in my skull. That night, I followed her. She left around 8:15. Wore heels. Tight jeans. Makeup done. Hair curled. She looked like a completely different woman. Not the tired mom. Not the overworked immigrant. She looked like bait. I tailed her in my truck. Lights off. 2 car lengths back. Like a damn detective in some dime store novel. She drove to Sheepshead Bay. Parked behind a cheap motel called the Neptune Inn. One of those places where the sheets probably haven't been changed since 2004. I waited. A black Lexus pulled up. Older guy in a suit. Bald. Wedding ring on. He walked in first. She followed. I sat there in the dark, engine off, watching her disappear into a room like my whole world was being packed into a plastic bag and tossed in a dumpster. 38 minutes later, she came out, hair messy, lipstick smeared. Pulled a wad of cash from her purse, counted it before she even hit the parking lot. I took a photo from across the street. Blurry, but clear enough. Her face. The guy. The license plate. The motel. I didn't confront her that night. No, I waited. I needed more. The next 2 nights, I followed her again. Different men. Same motel. Same routine. Always cash. Always heels. Always lying to my goddamn face. On the 3rd night, I followed him instead, the bald guy. Turns out, he was some exec from Manhattan. Married. Kids. Tied to an import-export business. Discreet as hell, but not enough for a man like me with nothing left to lose. I started collecting. Photos. Names. Receipts. Timestamps. Enough to bury her. And just when I thought I couldn't get any sicker, I checked her browsing history. She'd been on sites. Nasty ones. Not just escort ads, forums. Advice threads. Posts like how to hide income from your live-in partner and when to leave the guy once you've milked him. She'd even searched parental rights loopholes for undocumented mothers. That one hit me like a brick. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning an exit. An escape. With my kid. Friday night. I knew her pattern by now. She'd leave around 8 o'clock. Say she was doing a client's hair at their home, private work, she called it. Said it paid better than the salon ever did. I sat on the couch with Alex, watching old Looney Tunes. Told him I'd be gone for a bit. Left him with the neighbor lady who adored him. Said I had firehouse paperwork. He rolled his eyes. Kid knew it was code for boring adult crap. I tailed Natalia again. Same routine. Neptune Inn. Only this time, I didn't sit in the truck. I parked across the street, walked in the back. Hoodie up, phone in hand. Waited a full hour. Room 12. I knocked. Silence. Knocked again, louder. I could hear movement, some fumbling, some whispering. Finally, she opened it a crack, as wide like a rat that just saw the trap snap shut. Hair tangled, lipstick faded, blouse half-buttoned. I smiled. Forgot your tip? Her face drained of all color. That moment, that frozen, deer-in-the-headlights stare, burned into my memory like a branding iron. Behind her, the guy was sitting on the bed pulling up his pants, fumbling with a wallet. Didn't even look at me. Carl, I cut her off. Save it. I know everything. I've got photos. Logs. You've been working more than scissors, sweetheart. She opened the door wider, like she was about to beg or explain, but I was past that. I tossed a manila envelope onto the motel floor. Court's gonna love this. She bent to pick it up like it was a live grenade. You spying on me now? She snapped, switching gears like a pro. This is how little you trust me? Don't you dare play the victim, I growled. You're selling your ass for cash while our son eats cereal for dinner. He's not your son, she hissed. And there it was. That little shard of venom she'd been saving. I stepped back, fist clenched. Not because I was going to hit her. I'm not that guy. But because if I stayed one more second, I might have screamed bloody murder. Enjoy your shift, I said. It's your last. Then I turned and walked. I drove straight home, sat in the truck until my hands stopped shaking. That night, I stared at the ceiling again, only this time, I wasn't wondering. I knew. The woman I pulled out of a burning building? She dragged me into her own private hell. And I walked in like a goddamn fool with a badge and a bouquet. She came home the next morning like she just got back from yoga. Hair up in a bun, oversized hoodie, fake yawn on her face. Rough night, she mumbled, reaching for the coffee pot. I was sitting at the kitchen table, folder in front of me. Printed every photo, every screenshot. Even the Craigslist ad I found under her burner account. European beauty, real curves, no drama, upscale only. She took one look at the folder and stopped mid-pour. What is this? You tell me. She sat down slowly, eyes scanning the pictures. Room 12. Lexus guy. The receipt from Neptune and stapled to a screenshot of her fake name, Natasha. Her jaw clenched. You've been spying on me? I didn't blink. You've been whoring behind my back. She flinched at the word. Good. I wanted it to sting. I was fired, she snapped. We needed money. You think your fireman paycheck is enough for everything? Rent, food, clothes, Alex's school? Then ask me. Don't crawl into motel beds and lie to my face. She stood, arms crossed, fake tears already welling. I did what I had to do. I've been burned before. Men always leave. They cheat. They lie. They control. I protected myself. By selling your body while your son called me dad? She laughed, cold, bitter. You're not his real father. You were just playing house. You needed a little charity case to fix. I stood slowly, slid the custody papers across the table. I'm done playing. This ends now. Her eyes scanned the document. My lawyer's name, the statement of evidence, petition for full custody, a temporary restraining order already signed by a judge. This is a joke, she hissed. You think a court's gonna believe you? A fireman with a god complex? I stepped closer. I think a court's gonna believe these photos. And Alex. And Carmela. And the guy from the Lexus who probably doesn't want his wife knowing he's been inside my fiancé. That one hit. She exploded. Flipped the table, papers flying like confetti. Screamed in Russian, words I didn't know, but I got the gist. Tried to slap me. I caught her wrist mid-air. I suggest you leave. Now. I'll take him from you. She shrieked. He's mine. I carried him for 9 months, you piece of shit. You left him for 38 minutes in a motel room while you got railed for cash. I saved his life. Twice. Get the hell out. She stormed out. Slammed the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. That was the last time she stepped foot in my apartment. But it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. A week after I served her the papers, CPS knocked on my door. Lady had a clipboard, soft voice, that I've heard every kind of horror look on her face. Mr. Walker? We received an anonymous report about potential child abuse and substance use in the home. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Oh, let me guess, I said. Caller had an accent? Likes cheap motels and lies. She didn't smile. I let her in. Let her see the apartment. Showed her the spotless kitchen, Alex's homework on the table, the fire truck toy by the couch, the framed picture of me getting an award with Alex holding my hand. I opened the cabinets, fridge, medicine drawer. I told her to talk to my fire chief. My captain. My damn neighbor. Hell, I even offered a piss test right there in the living room. She left with a file full of nothing. But it lit the fuse. I knew I needed to go nuclear. I hired a PI. A pit bull of a lawyer. Started gathering more, bank records, her burner phone activity, camera footage from the motel, my PI had ways, text messages from clients she forgot to delete off her old laptop. I built a portfolio so thick, it should have had its own zip code. Court date came fast. She showed up in this conservative little dress, hair down, no makeup, trying to look like Mother Teresa on visitation day. Crocodile tears. Claimed I was violent, said I was possessive, said she lived in fear. But the moment my lawyer pulled out the manila folders and started sliding evidence onto the judge's bench, the room got cold. We had everything. Her ads, her appointments, her online chats. Even an old arrest from before she met me, she never told me about it. Caught soliciting in Flatbush back in 2016 under another name. Charges dropped. But it was on record. When I took the stand, I didn't go for drama. I went for facts. I pulled her and her son out of a burning building. Risked my life. Busted my leg, shattered my shoulder, spent 3 weeks in the ICU. Then I raised that boy like he was my own. I paused, looked straight at Natalia. I never asked for anything but honesty. She gave me sex for cash behind my back and tried to take my son away as a thank you. Natalia's lawyer tried to object. Judge shut it down. At the end of it, the judge cleared his throat, looked over his glasses, and said something I'll never forget. Ms. Ivanova, this court finds your behavior to be not only deceptive but dangerous. You are hereby denied custody, and all visitation rights are suspended until further review. Mr. Walker, full custody is granted. She lost it, screamed in Russian, tried to leap across the table. Sheriff had to restrain her. She was dragged out of the courtroom cursing, sobbing, clawing at the air like a feral cat. Alex was at school that day. When I picked him up, he asked, "Is she coming back?" I said, "Not for a long, long time, buddy." He just nodded. Didn't cry. Didn't even blink. 3 weeks after the court handed me full custody, I thought it was over. Stupid me. One Thursday night, I was putting Alex to bed. He wanted to hear the story again, the one where I ran into the fire and pulled him out. He knew it by heart now, but he still asked, "Tell me the part where you found me under the table." "Where else would I look?" I said, ruffling his hair. "All heroes check under tables first." Just as I turned off the light, the doorbell rang. I opened it to 2 NYPD officers. Male and female. Stern faces. Flashlights already out. "Mr. Walker?" "Yeah." "We received a call from a woman claiming she's your son's biological mother. She says she's being kept from her child illegally. Says you've been abusive." There it was again, the anonymous victim play. But this time, it wasn't CPS. It was her, in person, right behind them, standing on the sidewalk with wild hair and raccoon mascara, dressed like she'd run straight from a nightclub to a courtroom, screaming, "He stole my son. He's a fake. He's dangerous." I handed the officers a copy of the court ruling. Said nothing else. Just held it up, dead calm, and waited. The male cop skimmed it. Looked at Natalia. "Ma'am, you are in violation of a court order." She lunged. Not at the cop. At me. Nails out. Screaming in Russian. Called me a devil. A thief. A baby stealer. She actually bit my arm before they pulled her off. Drew blood. They cuffed her right there on my stoop while Alex watched from the upstairs window. I heard him cry out. My stomach turned, but I didn't move. I needed to see this through. So did she. Turns out, she'd been spiraling fast. Missed a court date for a separate prostitution charge, failed to check in with her probation officer, and was already flagged for harassment. She had a suspended license, a fake ID in her purse, and, cherry on top, a bag of powder in her coat pocket she swore wasn't hers. They didn't just book her for violating the order. They hit her with everything. Possession, assault, probation violation, falsifying identity, bail denied. She was headed for real time this round. No slap on the wrist, no courtroom theatrics. Just a cold cot and steel bars. A week later, I got a letter from the DA's office. She'd taken a plea. 18 months, minimum. She wasn't going to be around for Alex's birthday, or Christmas, or anything else that mattered. And when I told Alex she wouldn't be coming back for a while, he just asked, "Do I still get to live with you?" I said, "Always." And he hugged me tighter than he ever had before. After she was locked up, the silence was deafening. No drama. No threats. No phone calls in the middle of the night. But Alex, he wasn't okay. He started waking up in a sweat. Wouldn't go near the kitchen when I cooked with gas. The sound of the smoke alarm during a drill at school sent him straight into a panic attack. He stopped saying the word mom altogether. It just vanished from his mouth like it never existed. One night, I found him hiding under his bed. Took me 20 minutes to get him out. He said he was scared the fire would come back and take me this time. I didn't know what to say. I can run into a collapsing building with 1,200 degrees crawling up my spine. But that broke me in half. So I got help. Found a trauma therapist in Brooklyn who specialized in kids and PTSD. Her office smelled like peppermint and old books. She had soft hands and spoke like a bedtime story. Alex trusted her within 5 minutes. First adult woman he'd even looked in the eye in months. He went every week for almost a year. Drew pictures. Talked through the nightmares. Rebuilt himself, one crayon sketch and deep breath at a time. Me? I took my own hits in silence. The guys at the firehouse noticed I was quieter. Took fewer jokes, drank a little more after shift, smiled a little less. But I still showed up. Still walked into the flames. Still did my damn job. Because Alex was watching. One night, after therapy, he asked if he could see where I worked. Said he wanted to sit in the truck again, the one from when he was little. So I took him, let him wear a spare helmet, let him pull the horn. He laughed so hard it echoed through the garage. That laugh. Man, I hadn't heard it in months. On the way home, he looked out the window and said, I think I want to be a fireman when I grow up. Like you. I couldn't even speak. Just put a hand on his shoulder and squeezed until he said, ow, and giggled. The scars were still there, for both of us. But they were healing. Slow. Honest. Real. Then, one morning, I checked the mailbox and froze. A letter. No return address. Handwritten in Russian script, but I recognized the handwriting. Natalia. I opened it. 2 pages of emotional sludge. Half apology, half blame. She said prison was changing her. Said she still loved her son. Said I was cruel for keeping them apart. And at the bottom, scrawled in half English. One day he will know what you did. One day he will hate you. I folded the letter. Lit a match. Watched it burn in the sink until it was ash. It was a stormy night, like some damn cliché out of a bad movie. Thunder cracking like bones. Rain hitting the windows like fists. Alex had just finished brushing his teeth when I sat him down at the edge of his bed. Buddy, I said, I need to talk to you. He gave me that look, eyebrows drawn, mouth tight. The one where he knows something's coming and it ain't good. I told him everything. Not the bedtime story version. Not the mom made mistakes nonsense the therapist recommended. No, I gave him the real version. The uncut footage. How I found her in a motel. How she lied. Sold her body. Fake being at work. Betrayed us both. How I fought to keep him. How she tried to take me down with her. I told him about the custody battle. The fake CPS reports. Her screaming in court. The handcuffs. The jail time. He sat there, completely still. And when I finally stopped talking, the room was quiet enough to hear the fridge hum downstairs. Then he looked me dead in the eye and said, Do you think she ever loved me? It hit me like a collapsing roof. I tried to answer. I really did. Opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Just air. So I said the only thing I knew was true. I don't know, kiddo. But I do. Always have. Always will. He nodded. Quiet. Then leaned forward and hugged me tighter than he ever had before. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just held on. Later that night, I stood in the kitchen, staring at the sink. My arm still smelled faintly of burnt envelope. I thought about every moment from that fire to now. The pain, the betrayal, the fight, the rage. And I realized something. That woman gave birth to him. But I raised him. I taught him to tie his shoes. To look people in the eye. To tell the truth even when it hurts. I walked him through nightmares. Picked him up when he fell. Showed him what a man is supposed to be. I'm not his stepfather. I'm not his caretaker. I'm his dad. She showed up out of nowhere. 2 years had passed since the trial. 2 years of peace, of rebuilding, of late-night fast food runs and firetruck-themed birthdays. Alex was almost 16 by then, taller, stronger, calmer. Kid was growing into himself. We were wrapping up a drill at the station. I was helping a rookie clean gear when I looked out the bay doors and saw her. Natalia, leaning against the side of a lamppost like some washed-out actress waiting for her cue. Hair fried from dye, wearing some oversized coat that swallowed her frame. Cheap sunglasses. Lipstick like it was applied in the dark. And beside her, a Bible. No shit. She held it like a prop. I froze. Captain noticed. You good? Yeah, I lied. Just saw a ghost. I walked outside. Calm. Measured. Not the same Carl she used to know. Not the bleeding heart idiot who believed the I'm doing this for us crap. She smiled. That old, slanted grin. I've changed, she said. God has been working on me. God must be exhausted, I said. She winced. Then the tears started. Fast, heavy, practiced. I'm clean. I'm trying. I go to church every Sunday. I volunteer at a shelter. I've been journaling. Meditating. I miss him, Carl. Please. Just a letter. Just 5 minutes. He's my son. I raised a hand. Not to hit. Just to stop her. You lost that right when you sold your body and then tried to frame me for abuse. You remember that part, right? The part where cops had to drag you away while you bit my arm like an animal. Her tears stopped like a faucet turned off. Cold eyes, just like I remembered. You think you're his real father? She snapped. You think he won't come looking for me one day? That he won't want to know the truth? Let me help you with the truth, I said. You were a train wreck, a liar, and a threat. You didn't just burn bridges, Nat. You napalmed the whole town. I started walking away. She stepped after me, raised her voice. I'll fight this. I'll get a lawyer. You can't erase me. I stopped and turned back, real slow. Got close enough she could see the whites of my eyes. You walk near my house, my job, or my son again, I'll make sure the DA opens your sealed case files. You remember the trafficking ring you almost got named in? I kept that out of court to protect Alex. I don't have to protect you. She backed off. Didn't say another word. Just turned and walked down the sidewalk, head low, Bible under her arm like it might save her if she held it tight enough. She hasn't come back since. But every now and then, I see that Bible in my nightmares. Not because I believe in her redemption, but because I don't believe she's done yet. I was at the station, mid-shift, paperwork stacked like firewood, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail almost. Mr. Walker, a man's voice said. This is ADA Roberts with the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. I think you'll want to sit down. My first thought? Alex. But no, this wasn't that kind of call. We picked up Natalia Ivanova in a coordinated sting. Multiple charges. She's being held without bail. I didn't say anything. Just waited. Human Trafficking Task Force ran a joint op with NYPD Vice, he continued. She was on their radar for a while. We got audio, video, text records, burner phones, client lists. She was recruiting girls out of shelters and massage parlors, setting them up in short-term rentals, collecting a cut. I swallowed hard. Was she running it? Let's just say she wasn't at the bottom. He paused, then added, we found her passport and Alex's baby pictures hidden under her mattress. She was planning something, Carl. That part hit like a steel beam to the chest. For all her lies, all her filth, some sick piece of her still thought she had a shot at custody, at redemption, at taking him back. I asked what was next. She's facing federal time. At least 10 years, maybe more depending on cooperation. I hung up. Just sat there staring at the floor for a long time. Not angry. Not even shocked. Just hollow. That night, I told Alex. He was 17 by then. A lot taller, voice deeper. A man in the making. He was playing some online game in the living room, headset on, yelling at digital enemies. I waited until he was done. Can we talk? He pulled off the headset, sat up straight. What's wrong? She got arrested again. It's bad this time. Real bad. He just blinked. Then he asked, is she going to be gone for good now? I nodded. And what he said next? He said, good. I didn't know whether to hug him or cry. But I didn't have to choose. He hugged me. Held on longer than usual. No words, just heat. Real heat. Not the kind that burns. The kind that heals. She wasn't coming back this time. There would be no more surprise visits, no more letters, no more lies through crooked teeth. She lit the fire, poured the gas, and finally, the whole damn structure collapsed on her head. Good riddance. It was the night before his 18th birthday. Clear sky, quiet street. The kind of peaceful evening that sneaks up on you like you're not supposed to have it. We were sitting in the backyard, fire pit crackling between us. Just two folding chairs, a couple of beers, his first with me, legal tomorrow, but screw it, in silence. Alex poked the embers with a stick. Calm. Focused. Like he was burning something only he could see. Then he said it. I've been thinking about joining the academy. I turned slowly. The fire department? He nodded, still staring into the pit. Your station. Your path. My chest tightened. That wasn't pride I felt, not right away. It was fear. Deep, blood-level fear. Because I've seen what this job does. Not just the burns, but the grind. The sleepless nights, the funerals, the sirens that never leave your head. And that was before life tried to bury him. Are you sure? I asked. This ain't a fairy tale, Alex. It's not just ladders and applause. It's death. Smoke. Screams. It's hauling pieces of people out of places they never should have been in. I know, he said. You think you're ready? No, he said. But I will be. That right there? That's when I knew he was. A week later, I walked him into the same academy I started in. Same damn halls. Same grease-stained linoleum floors. Same old bastard with the clipboard who once called me hotshot, like it was an insult. They called his name. He stood, straight-backed, jaw tight, and said, present. Later that night, I found the drawing. The one he made when he was 5, the one of me in a cape carrying him out of fire. It had been tucked in a folder in his desk all this time. Faded, torn at the edges, but still there. I framed it, put it on his dresser. We didn't talk much that week. He was studying hard, waking up before dawn, running drills, soaking his boots in sweat. But every night, He'd come home, hang up his gear, sit down across from me, and give me this look, like, yeah, I get it now. I didn't need to say anything. He was in. Not just in the firehouse, but in the fight. He chose this path not to be like me, but because he finally understood what it costs to carry someone out of the fire and still be whole enough to stand afterward. He's out there now. My son, Alexander Ivanov, 18 years old and already walking through smoke, dragging bodies, carrying weight men twice his age couldn't lift. He's faster than I was, smarter too. He doesn't flinch when the alarm bell hits at 3 a.m. And sometimes, when I'm home alone, beer in hand, staring at the wall like it owes me money, I hear a siren in the distance. Long, howling, hungry. And I wonder, is it him this time? Is my boy running into someone else's hell? He is. Because that's who he became. Not because of me. Not because of blood. Because he was forged in fire. Just like I was. I get asked sometimes, usually by younger guys at the station, or people who hear the story at some retirement dinner, do you regret it? They mean her. The broken woman. The motel lies. The war in court. The threats. The fire behind her eyes. And my answer's always the same. No. Not one goddamn second. Because I got him. You see, the fire didn't destroy me. It burned away the bullshit. The fake romance. The illusions. It burned me down to what mattered. And what mattered was a little boy with ash in his hair who called me dad before I'd even earned the title. So no, I don't regret a thing. But I do have advice for any man thinking with his heart while his gut's screaming something else. If a woman tells you not to worry, worry harder. If her story doesn't line up, dig. If it smells like smoke, run toward it. Because the only thing worse than getting burned is not knowing you're on fire. That's it. That's my story. Not a happy ending. Not a tragedy. Just a man, a son, and the fire that made us both.